Hello, I am Eeva-Maria Hooli from Finland, and I'm a PhD student of the doctoral program in Education Sciences of the University of Granada. As you can see on the screen, the topic of my presentation is Communicativity of Second Language Classroom in Finnish and Spanish Lower Secondary Level English Teaching. And let's start with a short introduction before going on to the methodology, results, and discussion. So, education systems and the learning results of comprehensive education in Finland and Spain are very distinct. Firstly, Finland has a fame of having one of the best educational systems of the world, as over the past decades we have been witnessing great results of Finnish comprehensive school pupils in the program for international student assessment PISA of the OECD, which is Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. And in contrast, Spanish children have never succeeded in PISA tests. Their results used to be lower than the OECD average. And it has been shown that the ability of having a conversation in English varies a lot among Spanish and Finnish people. As according to Eurobarometer, 22% of Spanish and 75% of Finnish feel able to have a conversation in English. However, this study does not examine the proficiency of English, but the way the English is taught in two schools which are representing two distinct educational systems. The main focus is on communication competence, as communicative language teaching, CLT, emphasizes the ability of communication. This study examines the different aspects of CLT in the lower secondary level English classrooms in two schools to find out the differences in the level of communicativity. And then about the methodology of the study. The CALD observation scheme was used as a tool, and CALD stands for Communicative Orientation of Language Teaching. And this CALD scheme was developed by Patrick Allen, Nina Spada, and Maria Frölich in Canada in 1983. And this instrument was selected now as a tool because it helps to compare many different aspects of classroom and teaching and analyze the classroom event and to find out in which school teachers' teaching techniques are more communicative orientated. And the data collected with this CALD scheme was analyzed quantitatively and qualitatively. And this study consisted of two schools in which a total of 7 classes held by 3 different teachers were observed. 5 in the Spanish school and 2 in the Finnish school. Both schools are situated in province of Malaga in Andalusia, and the Finnish school follows Finnish national curriculum and the teaching is in Finnish language. And here I show some of the results obtained. The figures in table 1 show participants' organization. there we have the amount of minutes as well as percentage of total amount of time spent on following categories: whole class, group work, and individual work. As can be seen in Table 1, the whole class interaction dominates in all classes. In the Spanish school, 3/4 of the time was spent on whole class interaction, and the teacher is in the charge of the whole class interaction the most of the time. And it should be highlighted here that there was no any group work in 3 of the 5 classes observed in the Spanish school. Also in the Finnish school, almost as much time was spent on whole class interaction. And here, as Table 2 shows, in both schools the materials were primarily pedagogical, meaning materials specifically designed for second language teaching. In fact, the materials used in the Finnish school were solely pedagogical, 100%. And here it have to be mentioned that other parameters studied were teaching materials, content, and topic. Then the discussion. The whole class interaction dominated in all classes in both schools, which is a characteristic of traditional teaching method. Pupils were working in groups 17% of the time in the Finnish and 7% of the time in the Spanish school. Even though group work is argued to be an essential part of the development of communicative competence, as while working in groups, there is a lot more negotiation of meaning between students. The classroom in both schools were mainly controlled by the teachers, and this kind of controlled approach is very different from the way in which languages are used in a natural setting, and thus it does not emphasize communicativity. And then as the material, textbooks were the most used materials in both schools. The use of pedagogic, not authentic, material predominated in all classes. But the more important issue in the sense of material is the source. As Ricards states the use of authentic material create interest and provide valid models of language. And here the lack of authentic material in both schools might indicate more traditional language teaching method. So the analysis based on the COLD scheme revealed that all the 7 classes in the study are a mixture of traditional teaching and a more communicative approach. Also, each school was placed in the communicative continuum created as well by the creators of COLD. And each school is assigned scores from 1 to 5, and both the Finnish and the Spanish school obtained only 1. So the conclusions are that all the classes observed contain mixture of features of traditional teaching method and CLT approach. So to conclude, these 2 programs did indeed differ in their communicative orientation, and the classes observed in the Finnish school were slightly more communicative. Thank you for your attention.